The Remembering Them podcast is a platform for people to share stories and memories of their loved ones who have passed away. The podcast was created in memory of Dad, Bob Cecil. May he rest in peace. Your hosts Mark, Ryan, and Luke acknowledge the rich history and importance of storytelling within Indigenous culture.
My name is Jorgi Skeen, and I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we meet here today. Today we're meeting in Meanjin, and those traditional owners are the Yagara and Turrbal people. And I'd also like to pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and acknowledge my people, the Gubbi Gubbi people, and extend that acknowledgement to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people listening in today.
Hello, Luke. Welcome back to the podcast.
Morning, Mark. How are you?
Really good. Just the two of us today. No Ryan, he's still away.
He is. Funnily enough, I just had a quick scroll on Instagram and he popped up. So Ryan is actually busy. He's doing what's called hobby horse riding. So I don't know if you've seen the videos. People.
Is that where they're, the kids' horse things and they're doing jumps and right.
They've got the broomstick and then that's pretty much their horse. So he's just running around. I saw a video of him just running around and he's doing jumps and things like that. He looks really good. Doing that. So I'm happy for him. So
competing. I didn't know he did that.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, he looks good. So I don't know. Hopefully he takes a medal or some cash prizes or, I don't know, with the prizes in hobby horse riding. But no, it was good to see him this morning. I'm glad he's happy doing that.
Yeah, well done, Ryan. Good luck at the Hobby Horse National Championships. It's a shame you couldn't join us this morning. Shame it cut into your hobby horsing time. Look forward to having you back, mate. Come back really soon. Hope you medal. Good luck. All the best. Look, on to our guest. Let's give you 3 clues. As always, play along at home. First clue for you all. Clue number 1. We're at a place where you can ski and surf on the same day. This place is one of the few places on Earth where it's possible to hit the ski slopes in the morning, catch waves in the afternoon, or within a few hours' drive.
Interesting. I feel like I've heard this fact before, but it also brings me back to the episode we did with Ryan when we were talking about Panama, the sun rising on the two different oceans.
I think that was that an interesting person's or a dumb way to die?
Yes.
So anyway, one of those,
I don't know. Italy. Is it Italy?
Not Italy.
We're looking for a country.
Clue
right?
number 2, no, not a country. A little bit more specific than that. Clue number 2, I'll let you know in the third clue if you don't have it after this one. Clue number 2, it's illegal to wear cowboy boots in a particular city here unless you own 2 cows. This oddball law was allegedly meant to stop city slickers from dressing the part without doing the work. It's more symbolic than enforced, but it's still on the books.
What the hell? What are we, like in Texas? That's such a random rule.
That's where my mind went when I was putting this together.
Texas is definitely. I don't think you can surf in Texas. Are we talking like surfing, like in the ocean, or is this just like a man-made lake?
No. This is ocean surfing for sure.
Niche. Oh man. Are we going to somewhere weird, like maybe like Alaska?
No, not Alaska. When you hear it, I'm sure it'll all come together. Clue number 3 for you. We're after a state. In this place, if this place were a country, if this state were a country, it would have one of the largest economies in the world. As of 2024, this state's GDP ranks 5th globally, surpassing countries like the UK and India. That's a pretty big clue.
Is it?
So ski surf, the cowboy one's a bit of a red herring, but then large economy.
I just don't know what coast we're on. I'm trying to think mountains. It'd be the West Coast, surely. Oh man, I have no idea. Are there mountains you can ski in like LA in California? I don't think that's high north enough. I don't even know the states that north, besides Seattle.
What's your guess?
I got nothing, man.
You were
Um,
you were right with California, so hopefully you got that at home.
okay,
So
there you
clue
go.
number one, Big Bear or Lake Tahoe, you can ski, and then drive a few hours to Malibu or Huntington Beach for a surf in the same day. Clue number two, the city of Blythe is where it's illegal to wear cowboy boots, unless you own two cows. And economy, agriculture, entertainment, manufacturing power, the submersive economic output. Specifically, we're in Irvine, California. Irvine, California is a master planned city in Orange County known for its clean streets, low crime rates, and top ranked schools. It's also a major tech and education hub, home to the University of California, Irvine, and numerous Fortune 500 company offices. Our guest today works as a trauma informed grief and mindfulness guide. She's a widow and solo parent of three children. She loves to be outside, drink tea, and move her body. Most people don't know that her grief journey started a long before the person we're talking about today passed away. So our guest today from Irvine, California is Reshma Kearney. Well, welcome to the Remembering Them podcast officially, Reshma. Thank you for joining us all the way over from Irvine in California.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I'm really happy to be here.
It's a beautiful, looks like a beautiful day over there. I
Yeah,
usually give Luke and Ryan when he's here, a few clues to try and guess where our guest is from. So you'll hear that back, and you almost got there. So yeah, we'll see if
There's some tough clues, man. I
else.
don't, Reshma, when you listen back, see if you know any of these clues. They're so obscure. Like,
Yeah,
okay, I can't wait.
I normally try to make them obscure. Reshma, thank you again for joining us. We can't wait to speak to you today. If you'd like to start by telling
Same.
us who we're talking about, what happened to them, and obviously your relationship with them.
Yeah, we're talking about my late husband, Sean. Um, he passed away at the end of September in 2022, and he died by suicide. And it's June when we're talking about this. This might not be released in June, but it is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So I'm really happy to be here to share his story along with our grief journey and just hope that it inspires people who are listening.
I was thinking about that. The timing is great for mental health, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So how, I mean, is that something that you've championed after Sean's passing?
Yeah, I've always been someone who talked about mental health, and I've always worked on my own mental health. And even before he passed away, I was teaching kids yoga and mindfulness. And I think that because I've always had an interest in it, and then I married someone who showed signs of mental health challenges, and then we had kids together, I've been on this path. And then, of course, when he passed away, I continued on this path of being very mindful of our family's mental health. I had taken time off of social media for about a year and a half after he passed away. And I didn't know if I wanted to be in that space again of even teaching kids yoga and mindfulness or talking about mental health. But I kept getting called back to it. And so I decided to get back onto Instagram and share our story, tell people, what had happened to us in the year prior. And I didn't know what to expect, but the response I got was amazing. I had so many people reaching out, sharing their own stories of suicide loss or mental health challenges. And I don't know, I felt like, okay, I think this is where I'm supposed to be. And so, yeah, I'm still raising awareness and hoping it reaches as many people as possible.
What were some of those signs, Reshma, for people that might be, going through something similar, or maybe things to look out for that you said, as you said, the prior? What are those things that sort of jumped out?
Um, so yeah, I saw signs, but I want to be really clear that I saw signs in my husband of mental health challenges and inner struggles, but I did not see any signs that he was going to take his life. And this is with the suicide prevention campaigns that we see, especially in September, look for the signs, and then you see these lists of signs. Sometimes for me, that triggers something in me because I don't believe that everybody shows signs. But yes, I saw signs of struggle for sure. And I think over the 15 to 16-year marriage, I knew he had depression and anxiety. And then slowly he would share little bits and pieces from his childhood, what he was currently dealing with. And I would always say to him, I'm happy to support you and I'm always here to listen, but I really think you need to get help. I think you need to talk to a therapist or talk to your colleagues. He was a physician, so I recommended maybe looking into medication, and he always refused. So what I saw in our home was like he would cycle. So, there'd all 1 to 2 times a year, there'd be this dark episode where he would disconnect. He would be slower to move during the day. He would kind of shut me out. As we had kids, you could see a difference in his relationship with them. Looking at the 2 years before he passed away, a lot of anger, irritability, his drinking had increased. But again, I had seen these things over 15 years. So even in that 1 to 2 years before he died, I just thought this was another episode, that we were going to get through it, that, this change in life, that change in life was contributing to this, but we were going to get through it.
Now, I mean, to me, that totally makes sense. I'm not sure if there would be a particular sign or action or something that would lead to that. I'm assuming that it was a moment that Sean went through, and maybe others go through as well to make that unfortunate decision.
Yeah, the week before he died, 6 days before he died, our youngest daughter turned 7. We had a birthday party. It was like any other birthday party. I did all the planning, and then I sent him out to get the cake, and he was in charge of music, and and it seemed like everybody was happy, and he had some struggles with work that week, but he had a fishing trip planned for that weekend. But you hear about signs like they disconnect, people who are thinking about suicide or planning, they disconnect from others. They avoid talking to people. They start giving away their personal belongings. They talk about dying more. They talk about not wanting to be here. I didn't see any of that. I didn't hear any of that. So it was a shock to us that he made that decision.
Yeah. Sean as a person, how describe him? Obviously we've spoken about a little bit about the hard times, but Sean as a person, how would you describe him to a stranger?
Yeah, he was incredible. He was like the amazing on paper guy. One of the most hardworking, most talented, most multidimensional people I'd ever met. He grew up in a small town in Connecticut, but he had like this really open, big, worldly way about him. He could talk to a 5-year-old or an 85-year-old and engage in a really meaningful way. That's one of the things that I think I fell in love with immediately. I knew that we could be anywhere with anybody and he would be fine. He was a lieutenant colonel and orthopedic surgeon in the Army, and he loved his work. He loved his country. He loved the outdoors and moving his body. And I know that despite the darkness and the challenges and like the choice he ended up making, I know that above all, he loved being a dad and a husband and having, our little family.
What do you think your kids remember Sean? What are some of the favorite things that they might remember him by?
Yeah, I actually talked to them about that this morning because I had to kick them out of the house so we could talk. It's summer break here. So when they were leave, they knew I had a podcast interview, and I said, they're probably going to ask about dad because that's what their podcast is about, remembering people we've lost. So I said, what would you say? And my girls were like, oh, dad was the strongest, best looking dad ever. And you should tell them that he was so strong and smart and funny. And yeah, that's what they remember about him. And I think it's interesting because even my 13-year-old son remembers dad as being really strong and fit. And it just shows you that, like, a lot of people on the outside might see him as weak because of what happened. Like, a lot of people define my husband by his mental health and what happened, but yet his kids don't see him as weak. And of course, they don't really know truly like the distinction between physical health and mental health, but still they see him as like this superhero and this warrior. And I think that's really special.
Yeah. How would you describe him as a dad?
He he was a good dad. I think he had a lot of potential to be an amazing dad. I think that some things just weren't working in his favor, unfortunately, and that was he was deployed 3 times while during our time as parents. Um, and when he wasn't deployed, he was working a lot. He was at the hospital a lot. And then, like, with his free time, I would say half of that was taken up by what was going on up here, you know? And so he was a really good dad. I mean, he taught our kids so much about the world and, government and politics and nature and animals. And, I think he complimented me really well because he did all the things that I wasn't naturally good at. But like I said, unfortunately, he just wasn't able to show up like in his true essence because he hadn't handled things that were kind of hindering that.
This is a paid partnership with BetterHelp. Hey Luke and Ryan, life gets heavy sometimes, especially when grief hits. For me, that weight often shows up as anxiety.
Yeah, it's not always one big thing. Sometimes it's just life piling up, work, relationships, trying to hold it all together. Suddenly, I'm anxious and don't know why.
Totally. I used to think anxiety meant panic attacks, but for me, it's more like overthinking every choice or feeling like I'm never doing enough.
And it can even hit on good days. Out of nowhere, I'm spiraling over things that haven't even happened yet.
It's easy to feel alone in it, but you're not.
That's why we're talking about our paid partner, BetterHelp.
BetterHelp connects you with credentialed therapists who can help manage anxiety and more.
Most people go to BetterHelp for anxiety, and 69% feel better after just 6 weeks.
Getting started is simple. Fill out a quick questionnaire and get matched with a therapist. If it's not a fit, you can switch at any time.
Their support team is super responsive, and with over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 Trustpilot rating, it's a platform you can count on.
So let BetterHelp help manage your anxiety so it doesn't manage you.
Click the link below or go to betterhelp.com/rememberingthem for 10% off your first month.
Yeah. Is there a quote or a saying or something that he used to do that reminds you of him, and also maybe even the kids, if it's something similar or different?
It's like that's one of those things where you hear it and then you're like, oh yeah, that's him. I don't know. I mean, we do laugh a lot if we're in the house all day, and we haven't been outside. We do say like, "Oh, what would Dad say right now?" Like, "Oh my God, my indoor family," because he had to be outside every day. We had to be out doing something either on the water or during winter. We have to go skiing, and so I think that's something we think about a lot. That's something he would say. Don't be an indoor family.
That's the battle, right? That's a real battle today with technology and screen
Yeah.
time. Is there a favorite, and I'm assuming this is going to be an outdoor memory, but is there a favorite memory or story that you have of Sean, either because you were together for quite a long time, so maybe you've got a couple as you as a couple, and then maybe as a family.
Yeah. So you're right, outdoors for sure. I think anytime we're outdoors doing something, we remember him. So this year, actually, we went skiing for the first time since he passed away. And it was like a huge milestone moment in our grief journey because we were fearful of what it would feel like, especially me. Um, and so we remembered just the way that, he would ski with the kids and like hold them between his legs and ski down. And one story we were laughing about is he was an avid skier. He actually skied competitively. He did Junior Olympics, and when we had our son, he was just adamant that our son would be on skis at age 2. And we took our son skiing, and Sean got these like little plastic skis for our son. And so we have pictures of our son with a pacifier in his mouth going down a mountain crying in between Sean's legs. And I laugh because Sean was so disappointed that his son wasn't skiing at age 2. Like he was really disappointed. So my son laughs now because he's 13 and he's actually really good. But yeah, it's kind of a combination memory of like before kids, with kids, outdoors. I gave it all to you in one little story.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. It's a good memory. Is there I mean, maybe it's a ski lesson, but was there a lesson that Sean passed that Sean passed on to you, and maybe it's a double-edged question as well, and for the kids, a lesson that you will remember him by.
Yeah, I don't know if this is so much of a lesson or like just a general way of life, but I have to say that Sean has made me the independent and like fierce woman that I am today. He was in the army and he wasn't home a lot. But even when we were together, he expected so much of me to the point of, arguments. So I'm 5 feet tall. He was 6 feet tall. And he would have me do things that I don't think any other 5 feet, 110-pound woman would do, like lifting 16-foot Christmas trees in through the front door and, lifting up TVs to, mount them to the wall, and just the amount of like hiking he had me do. I tore my ACL skiing, and he expected me to ski down to the to mountain base. And it angered me a lot in the moment. But now when I look back on that, just how much he had me do, like, I guess he believed in me. Like he really thought I could do it. And now since he's passed away, I'm looking at all the things I've been able to do for me and my kids. And it's like, okay, yeah, you made me this way,
And what about for the kids, Reshma? Do you think there's certain things that he's instilled in them from a life lesson point of view, or even it might be practical, like skiing or being outdoors?
Yeah, I think just a lot of, we all say and we know that kids learn from what they see, right? We model for them. We can't speak how to be, but we model how to be. And I do see a little bit of him in all 3 of the kids. My older one, just the outdoorsy stuff and the hands-on stuff that he enjoys doing. He definitely got that from Sean. And my middle one is super disciplined and like laser focused on anything she does, whether it's academics or ballet or her friendships with people. She's like all in. And that's how he was. And I see that in her. My younger one, I don't know, I don't know if maybe she didn't have a lot of time with him. She had just turned 7 when he passed away. So if you think she was like alive for 6 full years, I would say a third of that he was gone. And, the first year or two of a child's life, they're really all about mom. So, but, I know she has like a special connection with him. I just I don't get to hear about it as much.
And how would you say you remember him today as a family, and even you personally as a partner?
How I remember us.
Yeah, how do you, are there certain things that you do? Is it a trip away, or is it photo books, or are there certain things that you
Oh,
do
I
to remember
see.
Sean? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we talk about him almost every day. And it's not like we sit and like have this huge conversation, but it's just anything. A song could come
it
on
just
and
comes
we
up in,
remember something.
yeah,
Yeah. I would say we, besides the skiing and being outdoors, the holidays make us feel the most connected to him. It's really ironic that somebody like him who was suffering so much on the inside loved the holidays, like loved Christmas. He was the guy who started playing Christmas music even before Thanksgiving. And I joke because I knew that at Christmas, I could buy pretty much anything I wanted to if it was Christmas related. So I convinced him to buy this $500, like lit up truck that said Merry Christmas on it for our front yard one year. Um, so the holidays for sure, we've managed to stay very close to like stick very close to the traditions that we had with him.
yeah. That's beautiful, and maybe I can't speak for Sean, but maybe it was a nice escape from whatever battles and mental demons he was going through those holiday periods.
Yeah.
I know this is not the same thing, but from a work or stress perspective, I enjoy those holidays too, because they just take your mind to another place and you can really lose
Yeah.
yourself in whatever holiday it is. Uh, lessons for people that I sort of touched on this a little bit earlier, but given your journey and the time and things that you knew that Sean had been battling with for a number of years leading up to, are there lessons that you could take out of this that if there's someone listening to this that has a partner or a friend or a family member that may be going through a similar battle, is there any lessons that you or advice, I guess is probably a better word, any advice you could give to that person living in it, but then also post if they were unfortunate enough to take their own life, any advice for those people as well? So probably a two-part, living with it, and then advice for post them passing if they were to unfortunately take their own life.
The Remembering Them podcast is supported by My Legacy Message. How do you want to be remembered? My Legacy Message provides a service that delivers a personalized keepsake video to your loved ones, often as a surprise after you pass. My Legacy Message. Be remembered.
Yeah. If you had asked me this a year ago about, how would you advise somebody who's supporting someone who's struggling, I'd have like this long list of things, right? Like do this for them and take them to yoga and have them touch grass. And now, because of how much I've learned, not just in my own self, but from this community that we've built on Instagram, I would just say the most important thing is to just hold space for that person, to just be with that person, let that person be, and that's it. Because I think what I'm hearing, especially from men, is that they don't feel held. They don't feel heard and seen and supported truly. And what I hear from women is a lot of what I saw myself doing and what I remember doing for Sean is like the minute you hear that there's a problem, you want to fix it. And and like I said, you want to prescribe all these things for your partner. And that's not really what somebody wants. They just they want their grief or their pain to be witnessed. And so that would be my advice to someone who's supporting someone who's struggling. And for someone who has lost somebody to suicide, hold space for yourself. You know, it's the grief after suicide, I tell people, is just as complex as the loss itself. There is so much uncertainty. There's so many questions. There's doubt. There's a wide range of emotions, like the normal emotions that you expect in grief, like the ones we talk about: sadness, pain, you know, hopelessness. But then there's anger, resentment, bitterness, um, relief, even, you know, which leads to guilt. There's like this huge spectrum. And so I think that survivors of suicide loss have to be really gentle with themselves and just know that, you know, healing is a lifelong thing. And it's not easy, but it feels lighter as time goes on.
Great advice. It's a difficult one because if you haven't gone through it personally, it makes sense to, practically and common sense wise. But I think even if for those listening that might have gone through something similar to yourself, I think it's something that you may know that's out there and quite simple to do, really, to hold space for yourself and be gentle with yourself. But to hear it, I think verbalized is really powerful. So thank you for sharing those lessons. I have one final question for you for the main part of the podcast. Traditionally, our most difficult question. So just
I was
prepare
going
for
to
that.
jump
Look,
in, Mark, if
yeah, I was going
I
to
can.
ask,
Yeah.
throw to you if you have any final questions before that last one.
I got a nice happy one for you, Reshma. How did you and Sean meet?
Oh, yeah. I was in Atlanta, Georgia, doing a fellowship at the Centers for Disease Control. And he was in Connecticut in medical school, and he took a year off to come down to the CDC and do a public health year. And the funny thing is, he was supposed to be in a department with one of my girlfriends, Melissa, who later ended up marrying a Sean, spelled the same way, Sean. But instead of being in her department, he ended up in mine. And so it started as an office romance. Like, you know, we would sneak out to meet for lunch. People would kind of look at us, but, you know, we denied anything. And then it moved quickly. I think we were dating for 6, 7 months and then got engaged. We just felt like we knew. Um, and then after another 6 or 7 months, we got married right before he started residency and then
And
moved to
kids
Washington State.
and kids were always on the plan as well. 3 kids, correct? If I'm
Three kids were not the plan. 2 kids were the plan. And then we had my middle daughter, actually, he was on his way to Afghanistan and he was joining the British Army. So he was in London, and then I went into labor with her. I had to be induced so that they allowed him to come back to the States just for the birth. And then he left and he went to Afghanistan. So when he held her when she was born, and then when he came back, she was already 7 months old, and she was a dream of a baby. So it was like I handed her over to him and said, "Yep, this is your daughter. And by the way, I want another one." But yeah, we hadn't planned on the third, but she came. I guess I manifested her.
That's great. That's really hard. It's sort of like you're the single parent while the partner's away on deployment. So hats off to you, Reshma. I think you've done
Thank
really
you.
well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Final question for you, Reshma.
Okay.
If Sean was in front of you today, what would you say to him?
Mm. There's so much I would say to him. I mean, I would start with hi. And yeah, I don't know if it's so much saying, but I think I would ask him, you know, like, what happened? What what was it that morning that took you to that place? You know, I feel like that question is going to sit with me for the rest of my life. And that's hard. So I think that would be the first thing. And I think I would just, like I said, I would just want to hold space for him right now and just let him tell it to me. And if I'm not getting it from him immediately, I just like continue to give him the space and all the time that he needed to really get everything out to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for coming onto the podcast and sharing memories and stories of Sean, and also the journey that you and the family have been through. I think it's been super powerful, and hopefully, our hope with this podcast, if it helps one person out there that's going through something similar, then we've done our job, and I'm sure you're very similar with the work that you do today. And on that point, before you leave us on the main podcast, how do people find you? You said you've built up a bit of an Instagram. We'll obviously tag you and put your socials in the notes, but if people are just listening to this and they want to search you, where do they find you on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Reshma Kearney, and I have a website as well under my name, but Instagram is really easy to connect through. So I'd encourage people to go there first.
Beautiful. And we'll certainly add those details for people in the podcast notes. So thank you very much for giving up your time and joining us today. It was really wonderful hearing about Sean and your difficult journey, but how you've come out on the back of it, you and the family. So we really appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Well, thank you both. And I really love what you guys are doing, letting people just share. So thanks for holding space for me today.
Thank you, Reshma. So, Luke, that was Reshma from Irvine in California.
Thank you, Reshma. That was a great little chat. Deep chat.
It was deep. I'll mention this straight off the bat because it's top of mind. If you're not a Patreon member, that discussion that we just had with Reshma, you need to be. It's worth. I don't care if you just pay what is it, $6 a month US for that, just to get access to that, and then cancel it. I don't care. It's absolutely worth it. What I will mention, it was one of our heavier conversations for Patreon. We talked about Sean's passing and a little bit more details around it. So thank you, Reshma, for being totally open and transparent with that. We really appreciate it. What came off the back of it were the lessons that she gained from it, and one of the things that the voluntary pastors gave to her immediately after the passing, because the kids had gone to school for photo day. And the advice that he gave to her, which stuck today and will stick with me, I think, in that, and I wanted to share it to our public listeners, was that you need to tell them the truth of what happened, because it'll come out. I'm trying to paraphrase here, but she said something like, "You'll never be able to ring that bell
again."
Ring that bell again. So tell them the truth around what happened, and that person not obviously, but helped with that conversation as well when the kids came home from school. So that is a piece of advice that'll stick with me forever. So thank you, Reshma, for sharing that in the Patreon. And that as I said, if you're not a Patreon member, please get involved. Not only just to support the podcast, but to listen to that conversation alone is absolutely worth it. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. It was a good little chat to round off the episode. Had some good little questions come through. But I think it was just a great story, and then the support she received as well with the chaplain as well was great, and I'm hoping she's still receiving that support. So that's good to see, good to hear.
She's doing an amazing job as a mother, and
killing it.
Yeah, just absolutely smashing it. And what an amazing person. After what she's been through, not that long ago, only a few years ago now. So the the short journey that she's been on so far and will continue to grow has been amazing. The community that she's building, as I mentioned in the main part of the podcast, we'll certainly share Reshma's details. Go and give her a follow and share this episode. Make sure you share this episode with anyone that you think might benefit from listening to Reshma's story, and also any of the episodes. Whilst you're on there, give us a rating and review. We'd much appreciate that on your preferred podcast platform, 5 stars ideally, particularly after that conversation with Reshma. I think that Reshma alone deserves 5 stars. So thank you for Reshma again for coming onto the podcast. Of course, we've got the My Legacy message service. Leave a message to your loved ones, often a surprise before you pass away. That service is available as well. We've obviously got our partnership with BetterHelp. So as Reshma mentioned, she had pushed Sean to go and seek support. So if you do need someone to speak to, then that service is obviously there, and you can visit betterhelp.com/remembering them for a nice little discount, and will also help support the podcast. Follow us on all of our socials. You can find us on all of our socials as always. Thank you very much for joining us. Luke, unfortunately, Ryan's not here. He's off hobby horsing, I believe. So hopefully he comes
Still
back with a
jumping
medal
around.
and he can share a win or give us some tips around hobby horsing. But that was an amazing chat with Reshma. We did talk to her about coming back for our chat to a professional chat TAP series. So she will be back. We look forward to that. And thank you, Luke, for joining me for a wonderful chat with Reshma, and we look forward to the next one.
Thank you, mate. That was a great one. That was really good. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. Thank you all. Speak to you soon. Love you. Bye.
See you, mate.
The Remembering Them podcast is created for entertainment purposes. Mark, Ryan, and Luke are not licensed mental health professionals. If you would like to discuss your mental well-being, several resources are available in Australia. Information about these services is available in the podcast notes. Please take the time to contact a loved one today and tell them how much you appreciate and love them.